Welcome to Beat Diabetes. I'm Dennis Pollock, and I'm going to be sharing 14 foods recommended by this magazine. It is the special time edition of Diabetes from Diagnosis to Empowerment. And I have talked about this before, but we're going to get to the heart of the matter, which is food. They recommend 14 different foods that they believe, well, they don't exactly say it, but they believe they're the best things you can eat if you're diabetic. So we're going to look at those 14 and then make a few comments about them. A lot of doctors, in fact, I would say most doctors, don't feel too comfortable about talking about your diet as a diabetic. So they'll give you the medication that they feel you need. Then what they'll often do is send you to a nutritionist. They'll recommend this one or that one or say, well, we've got a nutritionist that works with us and I'm going to make an appointment for you, or you need to make an appointment and you go talk to this nutritionist. And there's a very good chance that what the nutritionist will tell you is exactly what this article, this compilation of different foods for diabetics contains. So let's get to them quickly. We can't talk too much about them. One thing they recommend right at the very beginning is brown rice. Brown rice. Eating a fiber-rich diet helps the heart, lowers diabetes risk, and keeps the GI system running smoothly, they say. You know, it's interesting. If you check out the nutrition info comparing brown rice with white rice, it's not like brown rice has got gobs and gobs of fiber and white rice has no fiber. White rice really does have no fiber, but brown rice, a lot of the rice servings will tell you that they have 2 grams of fiber, which is essentially nothing. So the idea that if I eat brown rice, I'm going to get loads and loads of fiber, so much fiber I'll turn into one big chunk of fiber. But if I eat white rice, I won't get any. It's not true. Brown rice has a little more fiber, but not that much. Second food, chia seeds. Now that I can recommend and I feel good about, because even though they do have a lot of carbs, it's almost all fiber. Brown rice is a little bit of fiber. Chia seeds is like, boom, all kinds of fiber. It's almost pure fiber. And so you're not going to get a huge spike from chia seeds. And I do eat chia seed pudding. You can find my videos about it. There's all kinds of others on YouTube, chia seed pudding. So I agree. Chia seeds are a pretty good food for diabetics. Third one, coffee. It says coffee drinkers reap tons of benefits. I don't know that I'm all that excited about how beneficial it is, but it doesn't hurt anything. We talked about coffee the other day, so and I drink it, and I like it. So it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to fix your diabetes. It's not like you say, well, I'm going to start drinking more coffee, and I'll no longer be diabetic. Think again on that one. But it's a nice thing to drink, and it shouldn't spike blood sugar. Another one, collard greens. Well, I agree. They have almost no carbs to them. Greens just don't have a lot of carbs. They're not especially filling. So if you say, well, I want to fill myself up to where I'm just not hungry anymore, it's going to take a lot of collard greens. But they're good for you, and they don't have hardly any carbs. So I'll give them a check mark as well. And then dates. They recommend dates. Now, this was probably, of these 14 foods, this was the biggest shocker of all, dates. They say snack on chewy dates, and you get a whole lot of free radical-fighting antioxidants. And these people seem to love antioxidants to the point where it hardly matters if your glucose spikes, at least you're getting some antioxidants. Dates are about one of the worst foods you can eat. I mean, they are jammed and crammed and stuffed and loaded with sugar. You say, yeah, but it's natural sugar. Your diabetic body can't tell the difference, whether you eat sugar out of a bowl or you get it from dates or mangoes or bananas. Your body can't tell the difference. It's going to spike your blood sugar anyway. So the fact that they would put this there, it's like, where did you come from? How could you even say that? Next one, so dates, I don't agree with. Next one, extra virgin olive oil. I agree. Olive oil is a good, healthy oil. It's certainly better than the seed oils. So it gets a pass from almost everybody. Almost everybody likes it. But you can't live on olive oil, obviously. Another one, Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is a little iffy, but it's better than regular yogurt, especially sweetened yogurt. So if you get unsweetened Greek yogurt, it's not too bad. So that one, I don't know. I guess I could give it a pass, but I never eat it myself. Next one, green peas. Green peas are not a good choice for diabetics. They have like 25 grams of carbs for a cup of cooked green peas. And if you like peas, chances are you're going to want more than a cup. I mean, maybe not. If you don't like peas, you don't even want a cup. If you like peas a lot, you're going to have a lot. So green peas are a fairly high-carb food, has no business. It's like it's an imposter on this list. What's it doing there? Why did you put green peas on there? Well, they say they pack a mighty wallop, contains protein, low glycemic index food. They oftentimes, if they can't say it's low carb, they say, well, at least it's low glycemic. And a lot of times low glycemic means exactly nothing. Another one, kidney beans, but they go on to list other beans such as lentils, chickpeas, black beans, dried peas, the pulse family. And they make this quote, a high intake of pulses is linked to a lower risk of type 2 diabetes. They don't go into, this is just said by some nutritionists, so they don't go into, well, here's what this study showed. And any study they do quote in this list, it's all an observational study. It's like, well, we find that people that eat this tend to be less diabetic than people that eat that. So that really means almost nothing. The only studies that are really good are the ones where they give a certain group of people this food and another group of people, they don't get it or they get something else. So anyway, beans. I'll eat a few beans here and there, but they're not low-carb food, and they're not something you should focus on. To put them on a list of a healthy diet, I don't know. And then the next one is worse, oatmeal. Oatmeal spikes blood sugar like crazy. I've had I don't know how many people that have left comments saying, oatmeal sure doesn't work for me. Now, here's where oatmeal will give you the impression it works. If you eat a nice bowl of oatmeal and you don't test your blood sugar afterwards, about an hour after eating, then you don't know what it did to your blood sugar. So you say, well, I feel so good. It makes me feel good. That doesn't mean anything. Let me say that again. How good you feel after a meal doesn't mean anything. You can eat a big sugary dessert and feel great. All that blood sugar rush just makes you feel strong. Of course, you'll feel not so great in about 2 or 3 hours, but how good you feel doesn't mean anything. But a lot of people, psychologically, they've heard it over and over and over and over again. So psychologically, they're prepared for that oatmeal to make them feel good. So oatmeal does not get a pass from me. Parmesan cheese would be okay. Plums, why would you choose plums? Why put them? Well, they say they're packed with anti-inflammatory, polyphenol, antioxidants. They just love antioxidants. Let me tell you something. If you're getting beat up and your health is being destroyed by high blood sugar, the big goal of your life is not to get as many antioxidants as you can. That's not the goal of fixing your diabetes. The goal is what will keep my blood sugar from spiking too much. Popcorn, don't much care for popcorn. It's better than some, but it still has carbs. It still is going to spike your blood sugar. And they talk about its cancer-fighting potential, antioxidant content. They just can't stop talking about antioxidants. And then finally, they mention the 14th food is one that I actually eat a lot. When I say a lot, not in big quantities, but frequently, and that is strawberries. And yeah, I love strawberries. I never have big, massive mounds of strawberries. Usually I'll take like 3 and cut them up and mash them up and then put them on top of a mug cake or a chaffle, some low-carb base, and then put a little whipped cream on them, and it's a great dessert. So I like that. So basically, these 14 foods, some are good and some are terrible. But why would you put terrible foods on a list of the foods that diabetics ought to be eating? Now, let me give you a quote from the beans section where they're plugging beans. They say, replace meat with beans, an excellent plant-based source of protein. Well, that's saying it all right here. It took me a few minutes as I went over these foods and thought about them to realize there are no animal products on this list of 14. No meat, no eggs, no cream, no butter. It's all plant-based. I mean, this was either written by a vegan or by somebody who really thinks highly of the plant-based food system. No animal products. Well, there's a word for creating a list like that, and the word is, well, let me spell it for you, B-I-A-S, bias. There's a tremendous bias that is obvious when you can list the 14 foods you're going to put on your list of helping diabetics, and not one of them ever came from an animal. There's no cheese, no butter, no milk, no cream. Not that I'm big on milk, but I am on cream. And no steaks, no fish, no chicken, no shrimp. Just no animal products at all. It's all coming from the ground, baby. Bias. And most nutritionists suffer from a terrible syndrome. It's called MDS, meat derangement syndrome. They're just deranged over the fact that meat is evil, meat is ugly, meat is terrible. And they've all got it. In fact, if you go to a nutritionist, your doctor has said you're diabetic and he sends you to a nutritionist and you go there, the first question you ought to ask is, do you have MDS? Do you have meat derangement syndrome? Because if they do, they're not going to do you much of a favor. Now, this diet that we've just been reading about with the brown rice and the beans and all of these things, plant-based food, this is exactly what has been recommended since the 1970s. This has been the standard nutritionist recommendation for all of us, but especially for diabetics. Eat your brown rice and eat lots of beans and stay away from meat, or if you do have meat, eat the thinnest, scrawniest, toughest piece of meat you can, and that only in a tiny little quantity, because we all know meat is bad. Now, is there anything positive about a diet like this where you eat all plant-based and half of these, like dates, are just horrible for your blood sugar? Is there any positive thing? Well, it's better than the standard diet. If you're eating a standard diet, you're eating a lot of sugary desserts and things, and a lot of chips and white bread. This is better than that, so I'll give it that much credit. But there's one big negative to this kind of a diet, these 14 foods. Now, again, some of them I like, but the ones that I don't. The biggest negative is it doesn't work. It just flat doesn't fix diabetes. It doesn't even come close. Imagine that I'm going to start a YouTube channel and I really want to go into it with all I have, and I'm willing to spend a little money to get started. So I look on Amazon, I look through all the different cameras. I want one of the better cameras, and I find a camera for $2,000. Now that's a lot of money, but my YouTube channel is going to be a winner, baby, and I might as well have one of the top cameras. So I go ahead and order the camera. $2,000 for this camera, and sure enough, it comes in a couple of days, and I open the package. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's got all the bells and whistles. I mean, it's just fantastic to look at. But when I go to try to take a picture with it, it doesn't take pictures. The thing is so messed up, I can't take a single picture with it. So what do? Do I say to myself, well, okay, granted, this camera can't take any pictures, but at least it looks impressive, so I'm going to put it on my end table in my living room, so when I have guests come in, they're going to look at this fancy $2,000 camera, and they're going to think very well of me. They're going to think, boy, he must really be something. He's got this $2,000 camera on his end table. Wow! Never mind the fact that you can't take a single picture. I would rather have a $100 camera that can take pictures than a $2,000 camera that cannot take a single picture. And this diet that cuts out all animal products and recommends things like dates and and some of these things, green peas, oatmeal, it just doesn't work. So what do I do? What would I do if I ordered a $2,000 camera and it didn't work? I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd send it right straight back to Amazon and get my money back and find one that does work. And amazingly, for the last 50 years, we've been using a diet that doesn't work. That's why doctors that listen to people like me and Dr. Jason Fung and Dr. Ken Berry and Eric Westman and Sten Ekberg that preach low carb, when our folks that see victory over diabetes go to the doctor's amazed. He's shocked, or she is. And they say, I've never seen this in my whole practice. I've never seen this. Yet we see it all the time. And we get one comment after another into hundreds and the thousands. And combined, it would probably be in the millions. It doesn't shock us. When I hear someone give a great report, I'm gratified. I'm thankful. I praise God for it. But I'm not shocked. Of course you beat diabetes. When you cut your carbs way down, when carbohydrates, read my lips, carbohydrates are the very thing that causes blood sugar spikes. And again, if you're getting beat up by diabetes, quit worrying about whether a food has antioxidants or not and start being concerned about how high it can spike your blood sugar. The reality is there is a much better nutritionist than people like this that just, they list these foods because it just seems like they ought to work. They don't work, but it kind of feels to them like they should work. Sometimes I think they must scratch their heads and wonder, why doesn't it work? These foods are all so pretty, and they're all standard healthy foods, oatmeal. But we're not shocked when we hear of people beating diabetes. Now, I know when you beat diabetes, you'll be thrilled, and I don't blame you. I have been to see myself beat diabetes, and I'm thrilled every time I hear about another one. But I'm not shocked because carbohydrates, sugar, starches, I don't care if they grow straight out of the ground, and most of them do. They're the ones that are keeping you diabetic. So start leaning toward the low-carb vegetables and quit worrying about how many antioxidants they have and enjoy meat and watch your blood sugar levels go down. In addition to Beat Diabetes, Benedict and I do have another YouTube channel and another type of ministry. I'm referring to our Bible teaching channel, which goes by my name, Dennis Pollock. While you can only see Benedict with me on Beat Diabetes occasionally, you can see us study the Bible together at our dining room table every Thursday. With all that we're doing, producing hundreds of videos and podcasts, sponsoring African missions, helping diabetics reverse their diabetes, giving food to African widows, and sponsoring free medical clinics in Nigeria and Kenya, we need your help. Please consider making regular contributions to Spirit of Grace Ministries.